So, what's so magical about 50 degrees? So, its grass seed germinates when soil temperatures reach 50 degrees, and we've made it! It's grass seed time! So, here's what you need to do. First of all, think lasagna. Lasagna. Okay, lasagna. I'm getting hungry. But anyway, lasagna. Why? Because first of all, you've got to get layers of, first of all, you got to have soil, and then you have to have the seed, and then you have something to cover the seed. So let's start with, you need to rake through the thatch layer of your lawn to get to the soil. You can't just throw it willy-nilly. It's like, hooray, I got seed, because it lays in the thatch level. And even if it gets enough water, it'll germinate, and then it will die. It needs to have contact with the soil. And Aaron, I think you should know this by now. Aaron's going to shake his head, yes or no, or which one? Okay, is it the grass blade that grows out of a seed first, or the root?
It would be the root.
Very good. You are listening. And that's what happens. So if you're putting your seed down and you're not getting into the soil, that root goes and sprouts, and if there's nothing there to hold on to keep the moisture in, it's dying. So you've just wasted seed, and seed is not cheap. It actually has come down. There was a spike in prices in Oregon, and that's where most grass seed is grown for production seed. And they had a lot of fires, and they had a drought. And so seed was 20% higher than it is today. So go into your local garden center and buy it up while you can. So you got to rake that soil to get that thatch out and get down to the soil. And that it has to touch the soil in order for it to live. So you go ahead and you do that. Your hands wear gloves. Your hands will be blistered if they're on the soft side. You need to just do it. Just do it right. Don't waste. You can get mechanical machinery to do it. Like, for instance, a dethatcher will do it. And you want to get the kind that has a spring tine to it, not a chisel tine, and that will pull all that thatch out. But you still have to make sure that it's getting to the soil. Okay? So you did that. You're to the soil. You need to apply your seed based on the rates dictated by the bag. Okay? There's a difference in seed and size. And think of it this way. If you have a cup of, say, like bird seeds, sunflower seeds, just sunflower seeds, right? And you count the sunflowers, and then you have a cup of rice, there's a whole lot more grains of rice in that cup than there are of the sunflower seeds. So again, it's the same thing with grass seed. Bluegrass is tiny, little itty bitty seeds. And ryegrass and fescue all are big seeds. And they have a lot of elbow room. They take up a lot of room in a bag. Where the bluegrass, by weight, isn't taking up a lot, but it's still, there's a lot of seed in there. And that's going to be important for what I'm going to tell you next. Ryegrass grows quick. Like, we have a custom blend at Bloomers it's called Township Turf, and it has a blend of rye and a little bit of rye, mostly fescue, and 10% bluegrass. We put the rye in there because rye will germinate in 7 to 10 days. Then the fescue, and it's tall fescue, it's a fine bladed turf type tall fescue, say that 10 times fast, and that will germinate in about 2 weeks. And there's also 10% bluegrass. Bluegrass is something that shouldn't be overlooked. Bluegrass takes 31 days to germinate. Yes, a month. It takes a month. Now, think about this. When you have a blend that has a percentage, and each bag of grass seed on the back, it says how much is in it. So let's dumb it down a little bit. If you have a blend where it has a 60% fescue, 30% rye, and 10% bluegrass, that means that 30% of it will germinate in 7 days, 60% in 2 weeks, but 10% of it in a month. And like I just said a couple seconds ago, is that the smaller seed by volume is actually, the number of grass blades and the grass seed of the grass plants that grow. Bluegrass is pretty dominant. So don't avoid bluegrass because it takes a month to germinate. Don't do that because it has a whole lot more to it than just being a fine bladed grass and a great color. It sends out tillers. Like if you're a golf fan and you ever see somebody go and they take a divot out of the grass or I don't know. Honestly, I have to admit I'm not a golf fan. I appreciate the grass more than I do the game. But if you take a section and a divot out, that divot, if it's fescue or ryegrass, should probably be reseeded, where bluegrass is going to fill it in all by itself.
That's true. And the culture behind that when you're on the golf course is if you make a hole and you got to go grab that divot, you need to go put it back inside, or else you need to let the course know, and they will then refill it with seed.
There you go. Good.
Right.
That's good. I like hearing that.
Yeah.
So they're actually putting a little divot as a piece of sod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And then they're using Kentucky bluegrass most of the time to reseed.
Well, it depends on where it is.
That's true. That's true.
You don't want to go there.
Just because of the speed, right? The speed and germination, something that's quick. So,
but like for instance, like a lot of people say, can I get the seed that they have around where like the putting green is and stuff? It's like, well, it's bent grass, and you have to have a real type mower and all these things because it's so low to the ground. So you can, but it's not going to work. You're not going to all of a sudden have Pebble Beach. And the fairways, a lot of times it's fescue or bluegrass. Usually where the tee off is, again, that's going to be all different things. But it's crazy. Like professional turf grass managers, like there is the turf grass manager of the stadium for Philadelphia Eagles that they will change their whole turf halfway through the season. And they'll all of a sudden put in a Bermuda grass, which doesn't grow here naturally. I think it's just because of the warmth and the heat and the way that it's set up that it does in the stadium, because it's durable and that it can take the wear and tear from the Eagles. Super Bowl championship Eagles. Sorry, Aaron.
Oh, you ain't offending me.
Yeah, your kids will convert you someday.
My son still hasn't jumped on that train yet, man.
No,
he likes the Chiefs, man, even though.
Yeah, even though they lost?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. When they lose again, maybe a little. Anyway, what about, and most importantly, look, if you're putting down seed, you pretty much should give up putting down a standard crabgrass control. You have to use a different type. I do not believe it's as effective, but it does distinguish between the grass seed you're putting down and crabgrass, where it'll prevent the crabgrass from germinating. Because right now, your crabgrass is dormant. It's dropping seeds. The crabgrass that you saw last year is dead. And what it does is it drops the seed. It's like think of it as a tomato plant, where it grows, it goes dormant, it dies, it drops the tomatoes out of it, and then some seed, and all of a sudden sometimes you have some tomatoes that are the plants that are growing, and it drops its seed. That's what it's doing. So that seed also starts to germinate right about now. So you got to put down a crabgrass control, okay, crabgrass control with new seeding fertilizer in it. And you have to make sure you get the right kind. You can't put just standard crabgrass control on because it's going to kill all your seed and all the time that you wasted. So let's talk quick about lasagna. We'll come back to lasagna. You get to the soil. That's level 1. Your next layer is the grass seed. Your next layer, if you're patching or you have larger areas, cover it with a type of soil or a type of blended soil, like for instance, bumper crop, or one of the types that have a little bit of peat moss in it will hold some moisture around that seed because it's a requirement to keep the seed moist to break down the seed coat so that it germinates. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go and put some, it's a tack, it looks like straw, but you're not going to use straw. If you have like a leftover bale from Halloween or whether it's Christmas because you had a manger scene, do not use it. All of the straw has that straw seed in it, and that will drop and germinate. And then you'll have weeds galore, or you'll think it's like, wow, that grass seed, it's got a thick blade. I thought it was supposed to be thin. And yeah, you're adding to it. So make sure that you buy a tack straw that has no weed seed in it. And that way it'll hide the seed from the birds, because the birds are hungry. There's not a whole lot of food right now, so make sure you're filling your feeders. But also they're hunting for food until it gets a little busier and we start getting some other types of seeds that are growing. But again, you want to make sure that your birds don't eat your seed. Moisture is the key. Moist, not wet. If you have runoff, it's too much water and your seed is going down the drain. So you got to make sure it's kept moist but not wet. And then again, can I put down seed, fertilizer, or fertilizer with starter fertilizer with crabgrass control, and a pH control like lime or Magical all in the same day? Yes, you can. You can do it all the same day, same weekend. It's not going to interact. They do different things, and it's not going to impact one or the other. That's it. 50 degrees, soil temperature. Get out there and put some grass seed on your lawn.